build your business, build your personal finance to essentially get you out there making all of that profit. And today we're not stopping at all. In fact, we're taking it a notch higher as we'll be taking you through another very vital part of this whole ecosystem for you as an MSME or just an individual just trying to make it in life. So welcome to the most profitable show on radio. And I tell you that this will be worth your time, whether you're driving, you're headed home, you're still in the office, just trying to tidy things up. This is the right place to be. So stick with me for just over 50 minutes. And I promise you that it will be time well spent. As always, we are online and on air. Okay, you can listen to us on Radio Nigeria, whichever dial where you find yourself in the country, or you could just go to smegrowth.ng right now and visit that link, which you find right there. You can watch us live, listen to us live, wherever you're at in the world. So let's take a moment right now and do something. Let us share this information, vital information with your friends, business partners, even your competitor. I tell you, share this with them, okay? Let us grow together. Don't mind the fact that they're your competitor, okay? Don't hoard this very important information. So tell them that there is this big radio show that is on right now on Radio Nigeria and online. Tell them to tune in by all means, because I tell you, this will transform the way you do business, will transform your finance in a lot of ways. You can also be a part of this show by call or by SMS. So you can pick up your phone at any time during the course of the conversation and call us on 0810-608-1681. I'll take it slowly, 0810-608-1681 or 0818-202-5883. One more time, 0818-202-5883. With these numbers, you can actually join us live on the show from wherever you're at, whether you're in the hinterlands, the rural area, the urban area, wherever you're at, you can be a part of this show with your questions and your comments. We're here for you, okay? So let's get started. Last week, we talked about contactless payment, and it's just mind-blowing to see how you can do much more with contactless payment options. And I am glad that a lot of businesses are jumping on these contactless payment options to do business. Don't forget, it's faster, it's cheaper, and ultimately just makes your business that cutting-edge business that people look forward to transacting with. Today, we're taking it a notch higher, as I said, and we're talking about financial inclusion for Nigeria's unbanked, okay? Financial inclusion. Anything finance, count me in. I mean, I love money. I don't know about you, but I imagine that you also love money because you can use money to achieve a lot of things. And we don't want you to be left behind in all of the amazing packages, amazing ideas, and, provisions that are available in the banking sector, which is why this evening we'll be walking you through financial inclusion, being a part of this winning team. That's what I call it, the winning team. What do you do? What are the benefits available for you? How do you go about it? These are the questions we'll be answering this evening. And as always, I have a brilliant panel joining me this evening. We have some of the best, most brilliant minds in the financial services sector joining us on the program. As always, we give you nothing but the best. So let's get started. I'll be introducing my guests this evening. Together, they have years of experience in the financial services sector, and they'll be bringing to bear all of their experience. Omotola Olajubu is the Chief of Operations, Accelerex Network Limited. Accelerex is a SANIF partner and a super agent. She joins us virtually on the program this evening. We also have Sheyi Odolami, who's a product manager, agency banking at Polaris Bank Limited, also joining us virtually, as well as Abidemi Asumo, who is a group head, e-business and transaction banking at Premium Trust Bank. Ladies, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Kade. Good to be here.
Absolutely.
Hey,
it's good to have you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Kade.
All right.
Thanks for having
Good
us.
to have you guys. But I'm not leaving the men out, okay? We also have joining us Stephen Olusa, who is the Head Product and Ecosystem Development Financial Inclusion Services at First Bank, as well as Obina Egonwu, who is a Team Lead Financial Inclusion, Fidelity Bank. Gentlemen, you may be outnumbered, but hey, welcome to the show as well.
Thank you, Kayode. Thank you very much. We're happy to be
All
here.
right, so let's get into this, ladies and gentlemen. Financial inclusion for Nigeria's unbanked. And I'd just like to start from the scratch, from the very beginning. We don't want to take things for granted. And I'll begin with you, Omotola. What does financial inclusion mean, really? Why is it such a big deal? Why are we talking about financial inclusion today, Omotola?
All right, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Kayode, for having us on the show today. All right, so financial inclusion is a broad subject. However, the basic meaning is the adult population of Nigerians today. We have a lot of unbanked and underserved. Unbanked meaning that they don't have access to banking services. Underserved meaning that they have some sort of they've done some financial transaction, but they are not fully banked. And so financial inclusion is just basically providing access to financial products and services like savings, loans, payments, micro insurance, pensions at an affordable cost. That's essentially what financial inclusion means, ensuring that people who are outside of the banking system are fully engaged and incorporated into the banking system.
Well, thank you so much, Omotola, for that opener, essentially. So it's as simple as that, really. It's as though it is raining. Let me just use that analogy. It's raining, and there's this building where there's, warm tea, either chocolate or coffee. There's, good food. There is an apartment, a room you can stay in with, good duvet, what have you. There's just a lot of things that you can get in that building. So essentially what it means is that for those who are outside of that building, we can call them unbanked. And the idea is to get them in that building where they can get access to all of the beautiful amenities in that building. So that is what we're talking about this evening. There is so much more for you in the banking sector that you can get access to. And all you need to do is just simply knock on that door. It will be open to you. But hey, I'm not the one doing all of the talking this evening. Seyi, I'm going to come to you right now. So Omotola has laid the foundation. She has even talked about some of the benefits in the banking sector. But just help us paint a picture for us, if you can, what Nigeria's financial inclusion is like today. Tell us, where are we with financial inclusion? How many people are in that building? And where do we hope to get to, Omotola? Sorry, this is for Seyi, rather.
Okay.
Okay, hi, everyone. Thank you for having us, Kayode. For financial inclusion in Nigeria today, we are grossly unbanked. And when I say grossly, we would say above 60% unbanked. We have areas in Nigeria where banking services have not gotten to. And why would we have that much people? It's because, one, we're still an economy that is heavily dependent on cash. And we saw that issue when CBN revised the cash withdrawal policy and everybody was struggling. It just shows you, it gives you a glimpse of how underbanked or unbanked we are. And one, I feel a lot of people find it easy to deal with cash. The unbanked people that we see are people that, when it comes to, they don't like stress, let me put it that way. They just want something that is easy for them. They want to be able to go, they have the cash, they pay cash and then get their goods. They don't want to have to deal with, oh, somebody is transferring money and my money is getting stuck. They don't want to have to deal with all that. And I think one of the causes of that is because they don't understand fully what it entails to be financially included. So it's no fault of theirs that they are in that category, but we have over 62%, I would say, financially excluded.
Thank you for that, Seyi. Let me come to Abidemi now. For a country that we always say Nigeria, no, they carry last. It looks like some people are carrying last on this one, because clearly there is so much more they can achieve by being banked in the financial services sector. So, Bidemi, I don't know if you want to add to some of the opening comments that Omotola and Sheyi made about financial inclusion, why it is important, where we're at today. But really, is there any reason strong enough for someone not to want to be a part of this winning team, this moving train? Bidemi.
Thank you very much, Kayode. And just to add to some of the things said earlier, I think that the way actually to go is to get as many people that are unbanked to actually get into the banking system or the payment system, let's put it that way. Or in general, just as describe what financial inclusion means, because it goes beyond banking, from insurance to pension payments and all of those services that require one form of payment or the other. So it is important that we get as many people into the system as possible. And that's why the central bank and the government are driving this aggressively. The reason being that it's important that we have data. It's important that with this data, government is able to plan better for the economy. And of course, indeed that it improves the way of life, the way people behave, and in general terms, the standard of living will improve as much as possible, as long as government has enough data to be able to plan. And today, why do we have that number? Because we still have, just like I think Omotola said, the numbers are still very high, as much as 62%, we still have that gap. And why is it that today people are not still in the system? We could look at a lot of factors that I would call maybe the A factors. That would be things like accessibility, adequacy. We think about awareness, and also affordability too. And I think availability too is also one of the issues that we need to deal with. Talking about the A's that we say are basically that the minimum challenges or the basic challenges that a lot of people are not in the financial system yet. It is now for us as bankers, as payments solution providers in the various ecosystems that we are, to be able to provide solutions that will be able to address all of these A factors that I've talked about. So are the opportunities there for us? A lot of opportunities there, both for the practitioners and also even for the consumers today that are financially excluded. I think there's a lot that we all still need to do with respect to financial literacy, and that will address the factor around the creation of awareness. In terms of affordability, we'd also think about how do we make most of these financial services very, very cheap, rather inexpensive for a lot of the consumers. How do we take the cost to the barest minimum so that every consumer, every citizen of the country would want to be part of the whole financial ecosystem? So it's very, very important that we address most of these A factors. And with that, we will see that the numbers will begin to drop from time to time. I know that CBN has a goal. They have taxed all of us in the ecosystem by 2020. We should have achieved, I think, about 80% in terms of the financial inclusion goal that has been set out. And I think that's what we are all looking at now. And I also think that some of the things that the government are also trying to do with respect to creating an enabling environment will ultimately help us achieve the 2020 goal of 80% data with respect to financial inclusion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Abidemi, which is why we're doing this. This is essentially tackling the awareness part of it. We can talk about accessibility again, but hey, we're coming to you live on radio, wherever you're at today, and that speaks to how accessible this can be as well. We'll get into we'll break it down into some specifics in a moment. But the point is, all of these things are really available for you. All you need to do as a listener out there is to embrace this, because there is so much in it for you. And I'm glad, as Sheyi, Bidemi, and Motala have mentioned, it's not just about opening a bank account. It is way more than that. You get access to insurance, you get access to pension. Your data is also with government and the relevant agencies. So imagine there's time for palliative distribution and your data is already in the system. It is easy for government to reach you. So there's so much more that you can achieve by being included. As I said, I think it's the buzz term or expression for Nigeria. Nigeria, no, they carry last, so do not carry last. Let's move on now, shall we? Stephen, I'll come to you on this one. And just to maybe break it down further for someone who's perhaps just joined us and thinking, what again is this financial inclusion that they have come to talk about? They want to collect my money. I don't want to give you my money. My money is my money. Let me continue keeping it under the pillow. So let's push this forward a bit and speak to the specific benefits that you will find by being included financially in the Nigeria's financial services sector. We're at 62%, we're going to 80% or even more, but we need to get the buy-in of our listener this evening. Stephen.
Okay, thank you very much, Kayode, and all our listeners. Thank you for joining us. And I thank Omotola and Sheyi for giving those very important fundamentals or basics for us, foundations, for us to understand what this is about. But let me just make a little clarification. The numbers that we've talked about in the last few minutes are essentially the numbers of Nigeria.
Okay, looks like I lost you for a moment there, Stephen. If you can hear me, looks like I lost you momentarily. I mean, the connections.
And some of them even do the Esusu, your Ajo, and so on and so forth. By the time you then consider all of those as included in the financial services and sector, what you're going to be having is that you are just going to be having 36% to 38% of Nigerians that are excluded. Now, the target, okay, is that by next year, which is 2024, we're going to have 95% of Nigerians that are included. Now, you might notice I chuckled a bit because we're currently at about 64%. That puts some challenge. That's a high jump, right? But that's what CBN has set, and we're all working towards it. In terms of the benefits, Kayode, the benefits are just too many. Now, there's the argument that is it poverty that leads to financial exclusion, or financial exclusion leads to poverty? I will pick the latter. In other words, I want to say that financial inclusion will promote poverty. Now, imagine that a gentleman, right, walks out there and haven't worked all day. He gets paid his daily wage of maybe 2,000 naira, right, and he spends the whole money. All right, or let's even take it up a bit, 5,000 naira, and he spends the whole money. He did not save, or he saves in ways that he could easily lose the money. Maybe he goes to keep with somebody who is not going to find tomorrow, or he keeps somewhere where someone comes in and takes it away. That person is going to remain in that state for a long time, as long as he continues to do the same thing. Now, imagine a situation where the same person, let's call him, Usman, the same person, right, now has a bank account, for example, and is able to just spend 2,000 naira out of the 5,000 naira. Every day, it keeps the other money in the bank. It gets some interest paid on that money. And eventually, he has a large sum that he has saved over time, which he can then decide to invest, okay, maybe in his business, he might leave his boss that I was working with and then go and start something because he now has maybe 100,000, 150,000, and so on and so forth. And now imagine what he can then start contributing to the society. The same man can then employ maybe a caller, and then employ another person and employ another person. It goes beyond even the individual, right?
Okay.
He can now, if he has a sudden financial problem, he can now go to his savings and take money, or he has a business he can fall back to suddenly if there's a disaster of some sort. And these things happen in life, all right? So the economic impact, it goes beyond the individuals. It affects the society, and it has been traced and confirmed that the higher the financial inclusion rate, the more people we have in that house that Kayode you spoke about earlier, the better it is for the society, the more prosperity we have as a society.
Fantastic point, really. And I love the way you marshaled them, Stephen. Let me go over to Obina now and now start talking about the routes to enter into that house, if I can put it that way, because there are different routes, really. There's the front door, there's maybe the side door, the back door. I don't say there's a window and all of that. So what are the different ways that you will not carry last, if I could use that expression? What are the different ways to be financially included for the person listening to us right now? What are those different ways to get on board this train? Obina. Okay, looks like Obina is not with us just yet. So let me move on now. Let me move on to Omotala. We'll come back to Obina any moment. I hope I'm not mistaken. One more time, Obina, can you hear me? All right, Omotala, let me come to you with this one. I know there are different routes, and we've talked about some of them in previous episodes. Mobile banking, agency banking, e-wallets, and all of these different routes. But just so we don't miss out on them, for those still who may have just joined us on the program for the very first time, what are those different routes to be financially included? If we could just go over them, and then I'll get you to talk about one particular one, which is agent banking.
Yeah, so like you said, agency banking is the major route to ensuring that you're financially included, because agency banking was, created to ensure that individuals at the bottom of the pyramid are included. So today, before now, you would find out that it's difficult for your regular, people that we call the artisans. It's difficult for them to open an account because, they're probably even scared looking at the structures of the bank. They're probably, scared to communicate with you. They don't have anybody to provide some sort of references for them. And so before now, it was quite difficult to open a bank account. And so financial inclusion for me would be the mainstream, because every other thing is kind of layered on financial inclusion, whether you want to say USSD, whether you want to say mobile wallets, everything has been layered on financial inclusion, which ensures that everybody, or agency banking rather, which means everybody is included. And if you also, let me take you back a little bit, that's also one of the reasons why CBN also brought out the three-tier KYC, to ensure that everybody is included. The tier ones of this world, the tier twos, the tier three. And for tier one account opening today, you don't require any form of KYC, just your name, your basic details, where you live. You don't even require, what do we call it now? Your regular utility bill. You don't require a utility bill to open an account. So I would say agency banking is the main layer, because with that, you can have access to opening an account today, a tier one account, which is what we preach on the streets. Come on board, and then as you do transactions, as you get bigger, you can then migrate to a tier two or to a tier three. So whether it's like USSD, whether it's QR, whether it's e-wallets, whether it's mobile banking, it's agency banking that is the main base for getting you on board today.
Well, thank you very much. And that speaks to accessibility, really, because for agents or agent bankers, there are close to you. And I'm sure you listening to us this evening, you would have seen an agent around you, whether in your village, your community, just around you may have seen that agent. Most times they put POS available here. So let me break it down. You may have seen those people. So that's a sure way to get on board, this financial services, which we're talking about. That's one of the ways to actually get on board. But there's something that is tugging at my heart, really, and I'll go to Sheyi on this one. And it concerns, women's financial inclusion. I know how good with money my mother is. I know how good with money my wife is. And I know that there's still women out there who are missing out on financial inclusion. So I'd like us to speak particularly to women's financial inclusion, because if you empower a woman, you're literally empowering a whole nation. So please speak to us, Sheyi, about women's financial inclusion, the gender gap in financial access and why it is important for women to come on board.
Okay, thank you very much, Kayode. For financial inclusion for women, what we have in the country that we're in is basically the area, or the largest area where we have the unbanked population. We have what's the word to use? We have the barriers for women to do certain things, which is one of the reasons why we have a lot of women that are financially excluded. Some religious, based on religion, some women cannot do certain things. They feel like the women should stay at home and take care of the family while the men can do and work and cater to the family. So I think that's one of the main issues that we have. But one thing we can do, and you've said it, women know how to take care of businesses better. Women know how to handle finance better. So one thing people do, or one thing I know financial institutions are trying to do now, is to ensure that when you onboarding agents, you try to onboard women as well, and try to, even though the ratio won't be balanced, but try to have women try to explain to them what it means to be financially included, and then bringing them on board into that house that you spoke about at the beginning. That's basically what we need to do. There's a lot of education that needs to go on to say, even being a woman in these areas, they still can have access to financial services. And doesn't mean like they're not going to take care of their homes or anything, but they need to come on board and be financially included, let me put it that way, regardless of whatever strata, religion, income, gender, whatever it is. We just need to know that when men or women, we need to come on board and be financially included.
Fantastic point there, Sheyi. So whether you're a man or woman, this is for you. I mean, look at our panel. We have more women on the panel anyway. They outnumber us and they do amazing stuff. But we're due for a break now, ladies and gentlemen on the program. If you're listening to us and you want to ask questions, if there's still something you're not clear about this whole financial inclusion matter and you don't want to carry last, you can call us up on 0810-608-1681 or 0818-202-5883. I promise you, I'll take your calls right after this break. You're still listening to the Financial Literacy and Public Enlightenment radio show brought to you by the Bankers Committee. We're back in a moment with more interesting conversation and, of course, your calls and messages. So please stay with us.
As Central Bank of Nigeria don't announce change of currency, make we no panic. Whether you want pay or you can collect money, different options will go. In case cash no day available, you fit use mobile app, internet banking, ATM, POS, USSD, QR code, e-Naira, and others then take do your transaction. And if you don't get bank account, visit your bank. Make them open up for you. Make you no panic. Last, all of us will be all right. This message now from Bankers Committee.
All right, you're welcome back to the most profitable show on radio, the MSME radio show, brought to you by the Bankers Committee. I'm Kayode, and I tell you, I'm super excited to be having this conversation really on financial inclusion. It just keys into that Nigerian expression that Naija no dey carry last. So if you're listening to us right now, whether you're a farmer, you're an artisan, you are a shoemaker, a vulcanizer, you work in the market, you're a butcher, your whatever it is you're doing, this is where you ought to be, because we will be giving you some very vital information as to how you can get access to the vast opportunities in the financial services sector. You think you're doing well? Wait till you are on board financial services and you see how much more possibilities you have to access for your business and your personal finance. I've been speaking with some brilliant ladies and gentlemen who have years of experience in the financial services sector, and they've been telling us some of the benefits you can get by being a part of this winning team, this moving train. Again, you can call us up on the show on 0810-608-1681. Our phone lines are open right now, so call us up. It does not matter where you are listening to us from. That's the beauty with technology, from whether Kafachan or Bungudu, wherever you're at. You can just call us up right now and ask us that question. And I tell you, the amazing panelists on the show this evening will deal with your question appropriately. So 0810-608-1681 or 0818-202-5883. I still have with me Omotola Olajubu, who's the Chief of Operations, Accelerex Network Limited, which is a SANF partner and a super agent, as well as Sheyi Odulami. Sheyi was speaking just before we went on break. She's a product manager, agency banking at Polaris Bank. Bidemi Asimo is a group head, e-business and transaction banking, Premium Trust Bank. And of course, Stephen Olusa, who's the head product and ecosystem development, financial inclusion services, First Bank. So you see, we have a fully packed panel this evening. I'm going to come to Abidemi right now, and I want to speak to something quite important, and that is, for farmers, for example, people who are in the rural areas and they are used to doing their business perhaps on the subsistence basis, just doing their business day in, day out. And they're probably wondering, what more can I get really from being included in this much talked about financial sector? So I don't know if you could speak to us, particularly for them, the importance of being included in the financial services sector for agriculture. Is it maybe financing for them? What can they get? What is the incentive for them?
All right, thank you, Kayode, and once again, thank you to the audience today. So specifically on the question about what farmers can get, I think the whole thing about financial inclusion, honestly, centers a lot also around this space, and that's the agric space, the agric sector, because truly we have a whole lot of them that are financially excluded. So I would first start with, how do they even get on board so that they can be financially included? So what we see is that a typical scenario is where a farmer would want to buy inputs so that he could get, just to keep it simple, he wants seeds to start his farming in the planting season. He also needs to buy fertilizers. And of course, funding is a major issue most times. So one of the things financial inclusion will do differently is access to credit. So there are a lot of government projects today, or government intervention rather today, that actually encourages financial inclusion and makes things much more easier for the farmers. Today, we know that we have NISAL, and NISAL is the Nigerian Incentive-Based Risk-Sharing System for Agricultural Lending. So microcredits are actually being gotten from for this farmers through NISAL. So government pumps in some form of intervention funds, and they are able to access those loans. You can see a farmer who probably just requires as low as 20,000, 30,000, 50,000 just to buy some form of agricultural input or fertilizer. So through financial inclusion, and this means that we must be able to access you for us to be able to even to give you those grants or those loans. So coming in would mean that the farmer would have some basic form of accountability. It's one of the simplest form of accountability, which what we do today is to actually come up with an agent within that space. And once we have an agent within that space who probably is, would I say, like a lead farmer in that environment where government can work with, or even banks can work with, and through him we're able to disburse micro loans to the farmers. And in that process, the farmer has technically opened an account. He technically has some form of financial services, and that means that he would be putting the proceeds of his sales into that account, where repayment would also be done for that loan. So disbursement would happen on that account. We will be able to see that the farmer is also paying as at when due. And when there are gaps, for example, there are issues around happening on the farm and is unable to pay, we can actually see that there's something wrong, and we're able to go back to the farmer to say, oh, we observe something is happening in this kind of the current situation the farmer has, and we probably would think of extending the loan over a period of time instead of putting the farmer under pressure. In simple terms, some of the tools or digital solutions that you can use will be like, the USSD today, where the USSD would allow the farmer to transact. Even using his phone, he can actually even open an account directly. So we have made things actually very simple for the farmer to come on board, as in to be able to open an account. He doesn't have to bring in so much documentation like we typically would do opening a standard account. So he brings in some form of documentation, and we are able to offer those kind of micro loans. Even micro insurance too can also happen too, which is also still part of financial inclusion. Micro insurance, as in providing one form of insurance for the farmer, so that he's happy at the end of the day, he has good yield, he's able to sell his proceeds or produce at the end of the day. I think with that simpleton, those simple things I just highlighted is actually one of the ways by which we are helping the farmers actually drive financial inclusion. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Abidemi. So you heard that if you're a farmer, not just a farmer, if you're an artisan, whatever business you do, there is so much available for you. And the beauty of this is that it is easy to get on board. As far as you have that mobile phone, it doesn't have to be an Android mobile phone or an iOS or an iPhone. Just whatever mobile phone you have, that can be your ticket into getting access to all of the amazing things that she has spoken about in the financial services sector. But there's still something I'd like to clear. By the way, our phone lines are open, 0810-608-1681 or 0818-202-5883. I'd like to clear something with you, Stephen. Then before we come to the success stories, so it's not like we're just saying these things and they don't exist, we'll come to some success stories, people who have come on board and how it has transformed their businesses, their personal finance for the better. But Stephen, there is still this thinking, and I imagine someone is listening to us and thinking, I don't want to open myself to government or to all of these banks or financial institutions. I don't want to I don't want them to get access to my details. I hear a lot of funny things going on these days. So I don't want to be a part of it. So talk to us about some of the risk mitigation, programs available, data privacy, consumer protection. If I get on board today, Stephen, am I protected? Will someone infiltrate my account or my details?
Okay, thank you, Coyote. The straight answer is, or the short answer is yes. To just say a little bit more about that, okay? The identity management, and by that I mean that if a transaction is happening, if you're doing anything with a bank or with a licensed financial institution today, okay, you are identified by some set of data that is unique to you. And I will use the BVN as an example, the bank verification number. In the banking sector today, you cannot operate a bank account without having a BVN. That BVN is unique to you. That BVN captures or has behind the number that you have your names, your address, maybe at the time you register, but more importantly, it has your thumbprint, okay? It has your picture. And all of these are unique to you. There are no two people that have the same thumbprint, for example. Now, what that ensures is that nobody can try to do a transaction that is not you on your own channel. He would have to introduce himself. It's just like somebody coming to knock to enter a room. If I'm in the room and you knock and I ask who is there, and you cannot give me a satisfactory answer, I'm not going to open the door to you, right? So the systems are designed to not open the door if they cannot recognize that you are the one, okay? Now, is there a possibility that somebody can take hold of certain information and pretend to be you? That's what we call identity theft, okay? Or sometimes they come with your exact details. Maybe you volunteer those information to them, not knowing that they are not the right personnel, okay? Fraudsters, for example, and then they try to come in. That can happen. How are we ensuring that that is not the case? Okay, we keep educating our customers, we keep talking to them, we keep letting them know, for example, the bank is not going to ask for your personal application number, your PIN. It's not going to ask for your password. We don't know these things. We don't keep them. Our systems are designed not to even keep those information. For example, the PIN that you use for your card, the bank does not keep those information, okay, in a form that anybody can know them, and it's deliberate. These systems are designed that way. More importantly, we also have consumer protection initiatives that are driven by even the government, okay, to ensure that if anything happens, for example, maybe there is a dispute. You did a transaction using your card, you were debited, but you didn't get the money, okay? In those kind of instances, we have systems in place that ensures that that situation is investigated and you get your money back in good time, reverse to your account.
In other words,
okay, we
are
have
safe, essentially.
Government entities that monitor that, and even hold commercial organizations, banks to account, okay, on how those monies are being returned to you. So you really don't have anything to fear in terms of your rights. They're protected. And maybe I should add this, even your data that you submit to the bank, because again, people are sometimes also conscious of that. I want to highlight the fact that every data that you give to the bank or any licensed organization in Nigeria is protected. Now, globally, there's what we call the GDPR, which is a data protection regulation that is for the global space. But in Nigeria, we have also come up with a Nigerian version of that called the NDPR. That's the Nigerian Data Protection Regulation. That ensures that nobody no bank, for example, no financial institution that is licensed can just use your data for anything different from the purpose to which you have given them, or you have
Stephen,
allowed them to use it.
if I could just come in now,
I want
a
to
very
assure us
important
that
point
you don't have
you've made.
anything to fear. If anyone is
Right.
listening and has that concern, Coyote, there's really nothing to fear. The financial system regulated by the CBN, by the government of the country, is very, very conscious of the safety, and over time it's been demonstrated, and there's continuing to be improvements. Thank you very much.
All right, Stephen, quite exhaustive one right there. So essentially, you're safe, and there are layers of, will I say, safety that you get if you come on board. So just take that out of your mind. You may have heard different stories, but hey, there is what, 64% of Nigerians on board already, and they're still on board. I mean, the taste of the pudding is in the eating. So if people have tasted it and they've stayed back, it means that something good is definitely happening. So let's continue on that trajectory and talk about perhaps success stories. And I'll come to Omotola on this one. I mean, it could be as a result of getting on board through agents, bankers, or what have you. What are some of the success stories that you've experienced as we wind down now as a result of people coming on board this financial services as a result of financial inclusion? Maybe this is going to encourage someone listening there to get on board as a matter of urgency. Omotola.
Well, I guess the success stories could be that just ensuring that there's trust. So today you find that a lot of people keep their monies under the pillows. So the success stories in this case would be, you know, after you've done some sort of advocacy or some sort of financial training, you're able to now get people to come on board. Essentially, those are just the success stories. You are able to get people who ordinarily would adversely, you know, before now, especially before COVID, you would find that people would say, I don't want a debit card. I would rather go to the banking hall, despite the fact that there's so much queue. Everybody wants to have a face-to-face interaction with somebody in the banking hall. But COVID taught us that you can sit in the comfort of your homes, and then you can do financial transactions, you can do transfers, you can pay for goods and services. So essentially, that is what agency banking has done, because, you know, today you have people who can sit in the comfort of their homes and they can do transfer to anybody. In Nigeria, you can pay for goods and services, you can open an account. One of the success stories for me is the fact that you can open an account today without visiting the branch. You can open an account via USSD. Today, what SANEF has also done is something called the SANEF is a Super Agent Network Expansion Facility. There's a SANEF platform where anywhere you are in any local governments in any state, you can actually go to an agent and open an account. Remember that there is 3Y KYC anyway, so you're opening an account with a tier 1, you don't require any form of identification. So that for me is a success story, to ensure that people are included, and then you can begin to do cash in, cash out transactions. You can buy airtime. Before now, you would have had to go to somebody under the umbrella for a scratch card. Sometimes you over scratched, and then you missed, you probably bought airtime for 1,000 naira, and then you've over scratched, and you're crying. But now, you can get e-top up. You don't need to necessarily go to the bank or anywhere. From the comfort of your home, you can actually do all those things. So those are the immediate success. So there's larger ones when we talk about NFC, when we talk about QR codes, when we talk about, we talk about all those other things that are being layered on agency banking. But in the immediate, the fact that Mama Sikira today can open an account and can trust that when I go to the agent close to me, I can do my financial services. I can open an account. I can send money to my child who is in school. I think those are the immediate success stories for me.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Omotola. I think a lot of us who are in that building already are the success stories. But let's push this further. I'll come to you, Sheyi, now. Perhaps you know a particular business, an individual who was maybe skeptical about getting on board, and the person eventually got on board, or the business got on board, and things changed. As I said all of us are like business success stories, but is there one that you think is striking enough that you might want to share as we wind down?
For me, I think
Omotola.
Even and Omotala have mentioned it. One of the the bedrock for me, we can't say success stories enough and not mention SANEF and not mention names. The bedrock of every being financially included in Nigeria, like Stephen mentioned, is you must have your BVN. And to open an account, to have that BVN, we must give it to those two institutions who have made it possible for agents to be able to register for BVN. Particularly here, I know someone who was skeptical about agency banking and it's like, I don't want any issues. I don't want somebody to come and be holding my neck to say, oh, where's my money? Or I want to pay somebody something and the person is saying they've not gotten it. He was really skeptical. But what we did, working with the branch, and this is somebody in the northern part of Nigeria, Sokoto to be precise, and taking him on board and breaking it down for him. When we say financial literacy, we don't say it enough, and we need to explain and explain and explain in the language that they understand. To say this is how this person is learned. This person understands how to use a system, and this person knows that he's the bridge between the banked and the unbanked. And he was just skeptical to say, I don't want people's troubles. I don't want. But then when we explained it to him, got him one of the BVN machines that NIBS assigned to us at Polaris Bank, gave him the BVN machine, taught him how to register BVN, and then we could see what he was doing on a daily basis. And what we could see was him registering. You register BVN, and once the BVN is validated, then you can open an account for them, and then the person starts transacting. And what that did for him was, like Omotola also said, the trust was, okay, this person registered my BVN, this person opened my account. If I want to do transactions, I go to this person. So he saw that, oh yeah. So one thing for him is he cannot let anything happen to that trust. And today he's doing so well, transaction-wise, BVN registration-wise, because then the best form of advert is word of mouth. People are saying, oh, this person is reliable. I can do my transactions with him. And he's doing so well. It's one of our very, very top agents. And I must give it to him.
There you go. So it's not just, being a part of the financial sector, getting on board, it's not just for you to get access to all of those services. You can also use that to create employment. Yes, you can create revenue for yourself, but also create employment opportunities. And it's fantastic that you brought that example, Shay, really. So the opportunities are literally endless. We have about 2-3 minutes to wrap up on the show this evening. And I want us to leave our audience, our listener this evening, with an action point, something, what they can do immediately to get on board. For those who are now interested, and I imagine there's thousands of people out there who say, well, this is for me. Yes, I think now is the time. I've been missing out on a lot of things. Abidemi, what is the next step to take for that person who does not want to carry last this evening?
Thank you, Kade. I like that word. You don't want to carry last. Nobody wants to carry last, really. Okay, so for that person that doesn't want to carry last, I think it's just pretty straightforward. And I think it still boils down to all what we have said right from the beginning. If you do not want to carry last in this space, that you must first decide that you want to be financially included. And if you do not want to carry last, we must ensure, or you must ensure rather, that any opportunity that you can get into the financial system, just do it. And in doing that, they are just simple products or solution that the person can use to get on board. So from that agent that is very close to you, POS is available here. From that agent that is very close to you, walk up to that agent and ask that agent that you want to open an account. Most of us banks today and financial institutions and other financial institutions that we call OFIs have relationships with partnerships with agents that are very, very close to us at any location that we are. So you can easily do that from the bank's USSD platform, whichever USSD platform any bank is using the code. There are also options there where you can also open an account. That means that is another form of entry point. Once you are able to do that and you enter and you begin to drop in little amount of money, the bank is seeing it. As the banks are seeing it, they are looking at the ways by which they can also give you interest. Over time, they see that you're also qualified for loans. And most importantly, they see that you're also qualified for micro loans.
Okay.
And those are the easiest ways by which you can actually come on board.
But you see, it is really easy. Very, very easy. You don't have an excuse.
Extremely easy.
Really easy. I'll get Stephen's final words. We have about 30 seconds to close. Stephen, there's someone who's still skeptical. Let's convert the person quickly.
Okay, so my word would be majorly, because much has been said to those who are still out there that they should come on board. But my word majorly is for those who are even underserved or the underbanked. So they are in, but they are not, doing so much. Please, there's so much you can do. Go beyond just opening accounts. Ask for more services from your bank. We have a lot to offer you. You will be happy you did that. Thank you very much.
There you go. You will be happy you come on board. I'd like to thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, Omotola, Sheyi, Abidemi, and Stephen. It's been brilliant speaking to you on this one. And I know that there'll be a harvest of, people getting on board. And of course, to the production team, Bolanle Uyemi is the Director, FRCN Lagos Operations. Maria Oma is the Assistant Director Programs. And of course, the engineering team, Latif Olatunde, Daniel Kuye, Idowu Eusebio, Real Oladejo, and Ibrahim Mujtaba, who is handling all of the tech. Thank you so much. It takes teamwork to make this dream work. Till next time I come your way, don't forget to always make profit in whatever you do. Goodbye. I'm Kayode Okikulu.